broken heart is open. I'm gonna let it flow. Blessed water healing in my soul. Life can seem fragile. Yes, it's true. I'll let the water take me wherever it may go, 'cause I know God is the ocean, God is the river, God is the sea, God is the streams, and God is the life that flows within me. God is the questions, God is the answers, God is the song, God is the power, God is the wisdom that moves us along. Yeah. We're here and then we move on into the great beyond. Shooting stars and shining suns, God's light in everyone, growing and flowing, oh, expanding everywhere. Life is so beautiful, and love is my prayer. And I know God is the ocean, God is the river, God is the sea, God is the streams, and God is the life that flows within me. God is the questions, God is the answers, God is the song, God is the power, God is the wisdom that moves us along. I know, I know, I know, God is the ocean, God is the river, God is the sea. God is the life that flows within me. God is the questions, God is the answers, God is the song, God is the power, God is the wisdom that moves us along.
One power, invisible, and you see it everywhere and every day. One power, indescribable, and you speak of it with every word you say. mysterious until you know the truth. As simple as the love inside of you. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, angels' wings or heaven's door. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? It's the power of the love in you and me. One power, one power, one power, one power. We speak so many languages, different clothing, different colors, different names.
Good morning and welcome everyone to Unity of Bellevue. Thank you. How did you all enjoy that balmy tropical day yesterday? Yay! Thought I was in Hawaii or something. It was amazing. Just wanted to include all of you watching online, everybody here. A big welcome to those of you who are in the online world. My name is Cindy Brightbill, and I'm one of the prayer chaplains, and I have the opportunity to do the welcome today. So just giving you the big, warm Unity welcome, and I'm going to talk about our mission. Our mission is to awaken people to their spiritual nature and transform the world. You're invited to, and cordially invited to join us in this mission. Here at Unity of Bellevue, we offer a positive, practical, and progressive approach to Christianity, which is based on the teachings of Jesus, the power of prayer, and the following principles: the omnipresence of God, the divinity of mankind, the power of mind action, practicing this presence through prayer and meditation, and lastly, living our truth every day. In particular, we hold as truth that every one of us has within our being the essence of divine that connects us all to the source and to each other. We see the Christ Spirit present in you. In that knowing, we honor and respect the many names of God, the many and diverse paths to God, and the many ways we all worship God. Whether your glorious and radiant presence is here in the sanctuary or remote this morning, and wherever you are on your life's journey, know that you are exactly where you are supposed to be. We are delighted to have you here at Unity of Bellevue. We are blessed by your presence, and we celebrate our inherent oneness. Today we are blessed to have our own Reverend Monica McDowell Elvig speaking for us. Yay! She's going to be speaking about questions that make a difference today. Our musical guest this morning is the lovely Becky Thatcher. And she's been singing with Unity Churches since 1995, traveling up and down the I-5 corridor to many different places. So we're really glad to have you. Thank you for coming. And the rest of our team today includes our meditation facilitator, Lori Coleman. Thank you, Lori. We also have our board host, Joy Christensen. Thank you, Joy. And I think Jean Palmatier is here as our offering steward. Don't know where she is. She must be out doing some congregating out there. And today we have our wonderful Becca on the piano. Thank you, Becca. And Jamie Sassy as our song leader today. So thank you, everyone. We're so glad you're here. And we're going to be moving up to a higher place, starting with Jamie and Becca.
Up to a higher place, up, 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 far beyond this time and space, up, up, up to a higher place. I feel my soul rise into a higher place, up, up, up to a higher place, up, 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 far beyond this time and space, up, up, up to a higher place. I feel my soul rise into a higher place, higher place, higher place. I feel my soul rise into a higher place. No more forward, no more backward, no more spinning around and around. My life is moving ever upward. My feet are leaving the ground. Up, up, up to a higher place. Up, 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 far beyond this time and space. Up, up, up to a higher place. I feel my soul rise into a higher place. Higher place, higher place. I feel my soul rise into a higher place. No more downward, no more darkness, no more wondering the point of it all. My life is destined, oh, for greatness. My soul has answered the call. Up, up, up to a higher place. Up, 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 far beyond this time and space. Up, up, up to a higher place. I feel my soul rise into a higher place. Higher place, higher place. I feel my soul rise into a higher place. Higher place, higher place. I feel my soul rise into a higher place. Feel my soul rise into a higher place.
Thank you, Jamie and Becca. All right, now's the time where we will do our opening prayer, our invocation. So I just invite you to be comfortable, closing your eyes if you choose so, as we are in that higher place, knowing that that power and presence, that blessed love and peace of God is all around us, whatever we choose to call it, God, Great Spirit. We just know that this presence is within all that is. There is no place this presence is not. And as we call it forth throughout this service, we know that this is a time where we recognize and remember who we are. And as we do that, we express the good, the greatness, all that is, all that ever was, and all that will be, right here and right now. And as we open this service, we just include everyone who might not be able to be here in person, include everyone online, knowing that we are the divine in expression. And so we begin, and so it is.
Good morning. Another one of these mornings when I'm trying to get myself out of bed. All my good intentions are rolling around in my head. And I say, get it in gear, honey, I don't want to hear it. So head out that door, feet on the floor, and just show up. Take your time. Don't always have to be the first one in line. Show up, slow down, make it easy. Just show up. We can do that, right? Just show up. It might be as simple as just getting out of the way. Oh, yeah. A sweet invitation to be willing every day. Maybe I don't need to push so hard, one breath at a time, straight from the heart, and just show up. Take your time. Don't always have to be the first one in line. Show up, slow down, make it easy. Just show up. Oh yeah, just show up. That's right. You never know what can happen. You never know what can be. If I make room for a miracle to show up in me. Yeah, just show up. Just show up. Show up. Take your time. Don't always have to be the first one in line. Show up, slow down, let it be easy. Just show, just show, just show, just show up. Here we are, just show up. Oh, just show up. Just show up.
That was great, awesome. Thank you, Becky and Becca. Very fun, and it was what I needed to hear as I get ready to talk. Just show up. The reading this morning that I'm going to do is, I'm going to give you a little background. It comes from the Gospel of Matthew, and just a little bit of background so you understand the context of what's happening. The Sadducees and the Pharisees existed in the time of Jesus, and they were factions within the Jewish world. The Sadducees were a highly educated priestly group, kind of elitists. They were influential among the influential. And they did not believe in the resurrection of the dead, or what we would say the afterlife. And they did not believe in divine providence, what we would say divine order. They believed everything happened because of human free will. They also just disagreed with the Pharisees on everything because they were bitter rivals. The Pharisees did believe in the afterlife, and they were very popular with the crowds and with the common people. And these two groups were constantly jockeying for political and religious influence in the Jewish world at the time. Neither group liked Jesus. So this is the background to this scene. The Sadducees came to Jesus saying, "There is no resurrection," and they asked him a question. "Teacher, Moses said, if a man dies childless, his brother shall marry the widow and raise up his children for his brother. Now there were 7 brothers among us. The first married and died childless, leaving the widow to his brother. The second did the same, so also the third, down to the 7th. Last of all, the woman died. In the resurrection then, whose wife of the 7 shall she be? For all of them had married her." Jesus answered them, "You are wrong, because you know neither the scriptures nor the power of God. For in the resurrection, people neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are like angels of God in heaven." And when the crowds heard it, they were astounded at his teaching. When the Pharisees heard that Jesus had silenced the Sadducees, they huddled together, and one of them asked him a question to test him. "Teacher, which commandment in the law is the greatest?" He said to them, "You shall love the Lord your God with all of your heart, and with all of your soul, and with all of your mind. This is the greatest and first commandment. And a second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these 2 commandments hang all the law and the prophets." And then I'm just going to read a little bit as introduction to the book of Job. Believe me, these 2 passages go together, even though they don't seem like they do. But the book of Job and the Hebrew scriptures, I'm just going to give a quick summary of what happens in chapter 1 and chapter 2. There was once a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job. That man was blameless and upright, one who feared God and turned away from evil. Now there's this dramatic scene that happens in heaven, and they test Job. And everything is taken away from him. All of his property, all of his animals, his children all die in a tragic accident. And all of this, he says, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I shall return. God gives, God takes away. Blessed be the name of God." And all of this, Job did not charge God with wrongdoing. So then they send him a skin affliction that's painful and disfiguring. His wife says, "Curse God and die," and she leaves. And he tells her, "Shall we accept the good and not the bad from God?" And then Job's 3 friends come upon him, and they see him, and they sat with him on the ground 7 days and 7 nights, and no one spoke a word to him, for they saw that his suffering was very great. And we will continue that story in a few minutes. But for now, we're going to do our affirmation, and we're going to affirm together our prayer for our call for our new minister. I'm not going to have you stand because this is lengthy and it's several slides. So we're just going to read this and affirm together. We're going to try and do this once a month. So let's affirm this prayer together. We center in the presence of the one power. Knowing that God is in everything, we affirm that the best and right ministerial candidate is already called to Unity of Bellevue. We know that light shines on the path ahead in this selection process. Guided by divine wisdom, the leadership and selection committee are patient to God's timing. Their hearts and minds are open to see and experience the true nature of each candidate. Through prayerful discernment, they choose the one God has for us. A minister who lives and teaches unity principles, one who loves children and is committed to the youth ministry and is passionate about the music ministry. An expression of God's love, leading with integrity and compassion. We release the past and welcome the new minister with blessings of love and joy. We are so grateful for learning, connecting together, and engaging in clear, caring communication. We are grateful for the opportunity to live the contribution for a better world and growing as a spiritual community. We release this prayer to the universe, knowing it is so, and we let it be. Amen. And so it is.
Way over yonder is a place that I know, where I can find shelter from a hunger and cold, and the sweet taste and good life is easily found way over yonder. That's where I'm bound. I know when I get there, the first thing I see is the sun shining golden, shining right down on me. Then the trouble's gonna lose me, worry leave me behind, where I'll stand up proudly in true peace of mind, talking about a way over yonder. It's a place that I've seen. It's a garden of wisdom from a long ago dream. Maybe tomorrow I'll find my way to the land where the honey runs in the rivers each day, and the sweet taste and good life is so easily found way over yonder, and that's where I'm bound, way over yonder. That's where I'm bound.
Thank you, Becky. Aren't we blessed with so many people that have musical talents and gifts that they share with us so abundantly? So thank you. I'm taking off my mask for the talk. Just for those of you who don't know, I keep it on because my father-in-law, who's 94, is having a lot of health challenges, in and out of the hospital, and So we're trying to do everything we can to keep him on the side of wellness. Recently he had a surgery, and after the doctor went over the procedure that he was going to have, he said, "Do you have any questions for me?" And my father-in-law said, "Yes, have you ever done this before?" When you're 94, all the doctors seem just a little too young to be working on you. I love questions. Any of you who have been in a staff meeting with me or in a small group know that I love to begin with a good question. There is considerable agreement in the field of counseling that getting people to change their questions can change their life. For example, changing it from, "Why does this always happen to me?" to, "What can I learn from this?" Or what can I try that I haven't tried before? Or what good wants to emerge from this? They matter. Questions matter for our emotional health. In Michael Singer's book that Reverend Denise has been talking through, The Untethered Soul, he also asks a lot of questions and discusses the importance of changing our questions. So why does changing our questions work? Well, because our questions have assumptions. So how we frame our questions affects the answer. If you ask, "Why me?" we assume the stance of a victim. If you ask, "Why not me?" you assume the stance of a survivor, someone strong enough to get through it. How we frame a question determines how the answer comes out. My daughter, when she was young, demonstrated this perfectly. She was about 7 years old. She came downstairs one morning after waking up, and she was visibly upset, scowling, and she was not talking. And I assumed that maybe she was upset with me. So I said, "Lindsay, are you upset with me?" And she goes, "I don't know, Mom. What did you do?" I assumed I must have done something wrong, and her response followed that assumption perfectly. The way we ask a question matters for our emotional and our spiritual health. So I have a question for you. If Jesus or Buddha or Mother Mary or Hildegard de Bingen were physically present with us today, what questions would you ask them? Or if you were alive with them at the time they walked the earth, what questions would you have asked them? You can put the first slide up. First the slide. There we go. In the Gospels, Jesus is asked 187 questions. He answers maybe 8 of them. He himself asks 307. Maybe faith isn't about certainty, but learning to ask and sit in the complexity of good questions. And you can put the slide down. A lot of people asked Jesus questions. His students did, the crowds did, his family did, Pontius Pilate did. Jesus himself was just one big question mark. Who is this guy? And whenever they got the chance, they asked him questions. Will you heal me? Who do you like better, me or my brother? What is God like? When will the end of time come? Why did you let our brother Lazarus die? Lots of questions for Jesus. Questions matter. Well, the Sadducees and Pharisees had lots of questions for Jesus too. And in our passage, the Sadducees decide to try to entrap Jesus with a question. As I stated, they didn't believe in the afterlife, but the popular belief at the time was that you were raised after death in a physical body, you were married, and you had children, but without pain. It was a blissful paradise. Marriage and children, no pain. So they asked him a question that is a bit of a riddle. The Sadducees asked Jesus, mocking him, with 7 husbands, to whom will this woman be married in the afterlife? I can see them laughing even as they ask it. To get out of it, Jesus either has to deny the afterlife and agree with the Sadducees, or to be consistent with the belief at the time, he would have to say that woman would have 7 husbands in paradise. Outrageous, right? For that to be paradise. And Jesus says, nope. Nope. Wrong question. He refuses their question, for if they believed in the power of the divine, they wouldn't have asked such a question in the first place. Questions matter in our spiritual health. Well, as stated, the Sadducees and the Pharisees were rivals, and when the Pharisees see that Jesus has silenced their bitter rivals, the Sadducees, they huddle together. The traditional interpretation of this passage is that they then take a turn trying to entrap Jesus. And that's true that they try to do that in other places. In fact, earlier in the passage, they do exactly that. But here, there's a different dynamic going on. The Greek word for test here does not mean test as in trap. It means to test for good or bad intentions, to test for motive. I think they're thoroughly thrilled that Jesus has just silenced the Sadducees. And I can see them huddling around. Oh, awesome. Jesus has finally taken our side. He shut those Sadducees up good. Okay, wait, we've got to make sure that Jesus is on our side. We've got to make him a question just to make sure, to test his motives. And the question they come up with is, ta-da, what is the greatest commandment, Jesus? Now, that's like asking a preacher, what's the first book in the Bible? Or a unity minister, who are the founders of the unity movement? That's an outrageously easy question for any Jew of any age, especially a rabbi. You see, they aren't trying to trap Jesus. They're giving him an easy question. They're softballing him one to see if he'll answer it straight, to see if he really is on their side. And he plays along. He humors them. He says, the greatest commandment is, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. This is the greatest and first commandment. Every Jew knows that. And again, I can see the Pharisees going, yes, he really is on our side. He answered it straight. Good job, Jesus. Fist bump. Yeah. Woo. We're going to win against the Sadducees. We got Jesus on our side. And I can see Jesus letting them enjoy that victory celebration for just a little while in between verse 38 and verse 39. Sometimes there's spiritual significance with those verse breaks. And then Jesus clears his throat. Nobody hears him. Clears it again, and the Pharisees, oh no, I told you we couldn't trust this guy. And Jesus goes on, a second is like the first. It is the same. You shall love your neighbor as you love yourselves. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. And I'm pretty sure that when Jesus said, you shall love your neighbors, he looked over in the direction of the Sadducees. You shall love the Sadducees as much as you love yourselves. Whoa, Jesus, that's not what we asked for. We only asked for one commandment, not two. But their protest blew away with the wind because the word of the divine lasts forever. Our questions reveal what we believe and what we don't believe. The Sadducees didn't believe in the power of God. The Pharisees didn't believe in the love of God. The Pharisees felt the full weight of that blow, and they huddled again together. But Jesus didn't let them gather any steam. He went on and he asked them a question to reveal their true intentions. And it showed that they're not really interested in following God. They only wanted God if God was on their side and against everybody else. And it says no one was able to answer Jesus' question. They were all stumped, and no one dared ask Jesus any more questions that day. It's a common thing in families, churches, communities, countries, the world, to divide up. Let's see, who's on whose side? I'm on their side, they're on his side. That question can be very painful and damaging to community. A couple weekends ago, we had our community shredding event, and Heidi Brensik, who was one of our volunteers, was helping drivers exit after they had gone to the shredding truck. And one man drove up to Heidi and rolled down the window and said, hey, the rain held off. God must be on your side. And brilliant Heidi, with her unity conscience, said, God is on everyone's side. And that truth hit him so profoundly that he immediately pulled out a cash donation and handed it to her. He recognized the truth. So thank you, Heidi. That is what unity is all about. God is for all of us. So the better question isn't, are you on my side? But are we on God's side? Are we in alignment with the divine? Are we in alignment with divine truth and love and joy? Because if we are, then the rest of the questions don't matter. They're just politics, and politics divide. But if we are all in alignment with the divine, even when we disagree, we are united in love and in purpose. We're on the same team. So our questions matter. They matter for our emotional health. They matter for our spiritual health. They matter for our community health. But I want to delve deeper into this question about questions. For there's another layer I've discovered, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about my saga. I haven't talked about it from up here, and I'm not going to tell the whole story. It's a ginormous story, as some of you know. But I do want to talk about one aspect of it. Well over 20 years ago, I was hired as an associate minister of a local church, and I walked straight into a rat's nest. Catastrophe broke out with the revelation of a long-running scandal by the senior minister, and I was thrust into injustice, a legal nightmare, and it went on for years. I was following divine guidance every step of the way, and along with that came a lot of loss, a lot of pain, and a lot of suffering for me. So much was happening, I could not put all those pieces together. The way the world had worked for me in the past no longer worked. I could not make sense of the big picture. I discovered during this time that every single question I asked of God was answered, every single one. And now that had never happened to me before. I'd not had all of my questions answered. And usually it happened immediately, sometimes within 24 hours, but very, very soon after I would ask a question, I would get the answer. For example, I would be pondering something in a library or in a bookstore, and a book would literally fall off the shelf, and I would catch it, and it would flip open to a page that would have the answer to the question that was in my head. Another example was I was at a church, and this person was visiting from the East Coast, and we were just chatting after church about a bunch of nothing, and all of a sudden, she stopped and answered the question that was going on in my head. Was because the question to the divine at that time was, should I leave the situation? Is it time for me to leave? Can I get out of this now, please? And she stopped in the middle of her sentence and she said, stand firm. You know what you're supposed to do. The Spirit is telling you, stand firm, stand firm. Things like that happened to me repeatedly, day after day after day for years. Another one that happened for me was this situation was gnarly and it kept repeating itself, a certain aspect of the saga, and I kept going, why is this happening? Not from the sense of a victim, but just, I don't understand what's happening here. And next slide, and this is the car that pulled up to me. Karma, not just karma, karma. I saw that, the only reason I got a picture of that, and notice the numbers, 1111. The only reason I got a picture of it because I was asking that same question again a few months later, and I pulled into the parking spot, and that car was parked right across from me again. And I thought, I'm going to take a picture of this because nobody's going to believe me otherwise. And you can put the slide down. So that made me ask another question. Why are all my questions being answered? And I'm going to pause here, and I'm going to shift to the story of Job, because Job has an answer. So how many of you have read the whole book of Job? A few of you. Good. I've read it many times. I've even translated a little bit of it from Hebrew. It's beautiful Hebrew poetry. And the idea in the popular culture is that Job is this patient sufferer, right? How many of you have heard that? Patient suffering of Job, right? Silent sufferer. Yeah, they stopped at the end of chapter 2. They did not read any farther in Job, because chapter 3 begins, and then Job opened his mouth and cursed the day of his birth. And from then on, chapter after chapter after chapter, he questions God. He wails, he grieves, he opens every question he had to God. His friends that are around him come and try to answer his questions. They answer them in the old paradigm that Job was used to, but they don't satisfy Job. We would call it maybe spiritual bypassing. They do a lot of spiritual bypassing. And he won't have it. No, God has to answer me directly. This does not make sense. Just like the question I had, the world didn't work anymore. What is going on? And then it says, the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind. And God does not answer with answers like God did in my case. God answers with questions. Hey, Job, who made the clouds and the garments, the thick darkness of their swaddling band? Have you ever answered the springs of the sea or walked in the recesses of the deep? Have you been there when the morning stars sang and all of the angels shouted for joy? Do you know when the mountain goats give birth? Do you observe the calving of the deer? Questions and questions for Job that take him on this whirlwind tour of the universe. And Job, who's been in PTSD, right, he answers one time briefly. He says, I'm just this little human, God. I don't know the answers. Keep talking. So he's no longer stuck in his suffering, but he doesn't yet get it. He hasn't yet shifted. And God answers Job with more questions. Do you know of the Leviathan, the great monster of the deep, Job? This is the symbol for chaos in Hebrew poetry. Can you control chaos, Job? Can you command it? Can you chop it up and divide it and partial it out? Do you know how to run the cosmos, Job? These questions are almost like koans from Zen Buddhism, those questions that invite the mind to shift from duality to non-duality, to oneness. And it works for Job. These questions work. He gets it. It says he repents, which, if you remember my talk from last year, just means he turns, or what we would say he shifts. He has a huge paradigm shift. And he says, before I shifted, God, I had heard of you. You were a rumor. You were hearsay. But now my eye, singular, my eye sees you. Unitive vision. He has shifted from duality to unitive vision. He sees oneness, and he is restored. He needed a new paradigm. I needed a new paradigm. And this is the answer to my question, why did I have all of my questions answered? Because I was on the threshold of a paradigm shift, like Job, and I asked my questions directly to the divine, like Job. And I sought those questions with all of my being, like Job. I wanted to know. Sometimes wisdom is just accepting things as they happen. And sometimes wisdom is questioning what is happening. And it worked during my saga. I woke up. I had my big awakening to divine consciousness. And Job does too. And I think this is why the universe is fully invested in helping us shift paradigms, helping us shift out of old paradigms where things don't work anymore into new paradigms where things do work that are healthier for everyone. So if things aren't working for you anymore, or things aren't working for us anymore, for our emotional health, for our spiritual health, for our community health, for humanity's evolution in consciousness, ask good questions. Question your questions. Change your questions. Questions matter for our evolution in consciousness. Questions matter in helping us to shift paradigms. How many of you watched the Oscars last week? Yeah, a few of you. I watched some of it. You may have seen the movie that swept a lot of the awards, including Best Picture, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. How many of you have seen that? A few of you. Yes, I watched it. I love that movie. It had a lot in similar with Job. Now, it's not for everybody. It's kind of a quirky, absurdist comedy. But in that movie, there is suffering of this family, mother, father, and daughter, deep suffering. And in that movie, even unitive vision comes into play. And I'm not going to say what it is because it's hilarious. But unitive vision, the single eye, shows up just like in Job. Universal vision. They're on the threshold of a paradigm shift. They seek the questions from the universe directly, and they seek them with all of their being. They want to heal in the midst of even great chaos. And they come with the answers, which for them are unconditional love and kindness. Seek the fullness of the divine. Seek the next unfolding of the divine consciousness in you with all of your heart, with all of your soul, with all of your mind, with all of your being. Ask the divine questions from this place. Seek and you will find. Ask from your heart and you shall receive. And so it is. For our meditation, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to go into silence for just a minute, and then we're going to have some quotes that I'm going to read, and we're just going to contemplate them together with music in the background. I've actually printed them out, so you can, if you want to take them with you, you can take them with you. I will put them on the website, on the launch page as well after service. So let's just spend a moment in silence first. Just allowing the breath to settle, the energies to ground or expand. And let's go to the first slide. I believe in spiritual mystery, which means I do not need to have every question answered. I like the question of the unknown. We do not always grow best in a climate of uniformity and predictability, but in the soil of curiosity and wonder. Revelation may pull back the curtain on something we never could have imagined. Faith is a voyage of discovery for those willing to lose sight of the shore. By Stephen Charleston, a Native American spiritual teacher. And the next slide. As we expand our awareness, the solution to anything that we are growing through is expanded consciousness. It is in your remembered future of what you are becoming. It is not tackling obstacles at the level of the issue. It is you becoming a greater version of yourself by having an appreciative and affirmative inquiry into that which is real. I'm Michael Bernard Beckwith. And the next slide. God is love, and love is the panacea for human suffering. There is nothing greater than love. God's quality of attraction and unity that is manifested in the soul of every being. This love, when expressed under all circumstances, in family, social, spiritual, and national life, expands to embrace the whole world. By Paramahansa Yogananda. And so it is.
This day I awoke with a passion in my heart, a feeling of longing, a thirst so strong. I want to be better, an opening for God to make me stronger. My prayer today is for courage to be what the Holy Spirit intends for me. I want to be better, an opening for God to make me stronger. Make me patient when I worry, make me calm where there is strife. Make me loving when my heart today is for courage to be what the Holy Spirit intends for me. I want to be better, an opening for God to make me stronger, stronger to reveal more peace. I must be patient to reveal more love. I must be humble to reveal more power. Make me stronger to reveal more peace, more love, more joy, more joy. I want to be better, an opening for God to make me stronger. This is my prayer today. Oh God.
Oh, thank you. Help us, make us stronger. Thank you for the beautiful music, Jamie, Becky, and Becca, and Reverend Monica. I love questions, and so your message, questions that make a difference, make us see things in a totally different way about questions. And it brings to mind a quote attributed to Anonymous that I had recently read. Quote, "The first step to receiving an answer is being brave enough to ask a question." End of quote. So here we all are in our spiritual center, hopefully to most of you, our spiritual home. The question each of us bravely needs to ask within ourselves is, how can I be of service to my spiritual community, our spiritual home? Now, fortunately, the heart has the many ways to answer because of the 3 T's that we have. I, you, we can give the gift of time with many opportunities abound here in Unity of Bellevue. We can also all volunteer the gift of our talent. There's the landscaping team, the Blue Jean Cleanup Day, the hospitality, the youth and family, so many different ways that we can give our gift of talent and time. And of course, we can also donate through the gift of our tithing. UnityofBellevue.org website has the many options, as well as our ushers will be bringing in the bags shortly. And of course, there's also the basket at the end by the door. However you choose to answer that question, which makes that difference to ensure that we all thrive, we are grateful for the wondrous ways you express the Christ-light love of your gifts. Thank you. So please let us bravely and unquestionably declare our offering affirmation together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Thank you.
Thank you. And so it is with a grateful heart that we bring forth these financial offerings. We give thanks for the generosity of our community, for everyone who is here, for their presence, for the offering of the music, for the offering of smiles and love, knowing that all that has been created here within this service is an offering for that greater, ever yet to be, that good. And as we move this source of financial donations through our community and out into the greater Seattle, we know that we are spreading this love and this light, this joyous, wonderful gift that we have within us, the divine. And I thank each person for showing up today, for bringing their offering of who they are, honoring and sharing that with us. We bless this community, we bless these gifts, we release them knowing they are for that good, and so it is.
Good morning again. Welcome to Unity of Bellevue. If you are visiting with us for the first time, we open our hearts to you. We are so grateful for your presence. If you are joining with us online too, we see you. And we are so glad you have joined us. We have a welcome packet for you outside the sanctuary doors to the left as you exit, if you would like to pick one up on your way out. And if you're online, you can go to our website, unityofbellevue.org, and go to the I'm New page. And just click on the link and I will send you a welcome packet. The best way to stay in touch with everything that's happening here at Unity of Bellevue is to sign up for our weekly e-newsletter that comes out every Thursday morning, and you can sign up on the website. Every page, at the bottom of every page, is a sign-up form for that newsletter. Prayer chaplains are here to pray with you. Lori Coleman is our prayer chaplain who will be leading a hybrid prayer circle in the library following service. The link for that is on our launch page if you would like to join virtually. You can always email them, prayer chaplains at unityofbellevue.org, fill out the prayer request cards in the seat backs. And Susan will also be up front after service, up front here for anyone who would like to request one-on-one prayer. Women Connect meets this Saturday here in person in the Friendship Room at 10:30. You can see Linda if you have any questions or would like to join. All women are welcome. Unity of Bellevue takes a hike next Sunday. After service, we're going to carpool to a local destination of your choice, and bring a lunch if you'd like to eat beforehand, probably, yes. Brian will be leading that, and we've got a great group assembled for that. The board meets this Tuesday. If you would like to observe, you can send an email to board@unityofbellevue.org. That's at 4:30 online. And on Wednesday, March 29th, I'm giving a free Reiki talk. All are welcome. Any are welcome. I'm going to be talking a little bit about what Reiki is and about the possibility of starting a Reiki ministry here at Unity of Bellevue. The Zoom link is going to be on the launch page. I would ask that you would register too, just so I have an idea of how many are coming and how to prepare. It'll include a Reiki meditation and a Q&A. Bingo night, Friday, March 31st. We're going to try and start some social events again here in the building. Friday, 6 to 8 p.m. If you would like to go, you can register. You can register through the website or the newsletter. And Sabrina is organizing that, so see her with any questions. Should be fun. Just a reminder, Easter is coming up, not that far away. The youth will be painting eggs, and they're going to be having an Easter egg hunt after service with an Easter bunny photo op. Guess who's going to be the Easter bunny? We're also going to be doing Easter and spring flower donations too, so if you would like to contribute to the decor on that, you can do that through the website and through the newsletter. The flowers today, they are donated by Ann Dunlap and Bo Bowman in honor and memory of Ann's father, who was born this day in 1923. So today would have been his 100th birthday. So thank you for the flowers. And big thank you again to Becky Thatcher for being here, with blessing us with her beauty and her music. Next Sunday, Imam Jamal Rahman will be here speaking on the spiritual significance of Ramadan, and Cindy Akana will be our guest artist. Okay, Jamie and Becca are going to close us out with a peace song, followed by the prayer for protection.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Blessings. Have a wonderful week. Love to you all.
Sometimes I forget where I come from. Sometimes I forget where I'm going to. Sometimes I get so confused I lose my way. Sometimes I know you feel the same. Then I remember there is nowhere that God is not. No, no, no. There is nowhere that God is not. There is nowhere that God is not. No, no, no. 'Cause everywhere I am, I know what I've got. Sometimes I believe
in what I see. Sometimes I believe what I perceive. Sometimes I get so confused I lose my way. Sometimes I don't know what to say. Then I remember there is nowhere, all that God is not, no, no, no. There is nowhere that God is not. Yeah, there is nowhere, all that God is not, no, no, no. 'Cause everywhere I am, I know what I've got. I forgot to pray, forgot to be still and know